What's up, everybody? This is Gray here with another Sunday shift report. The crap has hit the fan. First of all, let me welcome every single one of you folks in the chat tonight, or this afternoon per se, right? Just want to say thank you guys for being here and spending a little bit of your time with me here on the Sunday shift report in this premiere. So thank you all for being here. Real quick, for any new viewers that are happening to come across this, everything in this video, most of the articles I'll have, I try to get most of the articles down in the description, links down in the description if you want to further do some research outside of my opinion on these articles. So I'd like to state that up front, because everything I talk about in this video, to say it more clearly, is opinion-based from my perspective, okay? But the articles are there. You can look into them yourself and garner your own opinion from it outside of my own, which is what I always suggest to anybody out there. When it comes to anything that you see, read, or hear, is to take it a bit step further and follow it with some research, because sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes other folks are wrong, and I'm going to discuss something here just to prove a point in regards to that. But all in all, thank you guys for being here. And mods, you guys are also truly appreciate you guys being here, making sure everything is taken care of and make sure there's nothing crazy going on in chat, because you just never know. You just never know, right? So cheers to everybody who's drinking a cup of coffee, some tea, or just kicking back with a nice relaxing drink. Well, let's get into this. First of all, I'm gonna focus here in the United States first before we go overseas. I'm pretty sure you guys have been inundated with the Ukraine-Russian thing on a consistent basis. And if you want more of that, my Discord link is down below, and we have a specific spot in the Discord where you can read all the stuff about Ukraine and Russia that you'd like. But I've covered it many, many times, and if anything massively drastically changes in this whole process, I'll probably bring it back up, or we'll just touch on bits and pieces as they arise. Because I do have a couple things in here that I want to point out in regards to that whole situation. Anyways, what's affecting us here in the U.S.? That's the big picture, right? That's what really is important to a lot of folks that are watching here in the U.S. What's going on here in the United States, specifically with fuel cost. Fuel costs are skyrocketing. You know, I'll be honest with you folks, I was driving home last night from work, and I looked at the gas prices, and I was like, wow, we are up to $3.99 a gallon in my area. And if you guys want, you can drop your prices down in your areas as well. If you want to share with people that are watching with you, or people happen to come across this video down the road, or drop them down in the comment section. You know, we could do a call out. Everybody down after this video ends, drop your state and or your city if you like. It's up to you, and drop the prices that you're seeing there, just so that we're not basically depending on social media or anything else like that. We're depending on each other for this information. So let's jump into gas prices real quick, and let's touch there. Now, if you guys or folks want to know what I'm going to be discussing today, I'm going to be discussing gas prices. I'm going to be discussing the People's Convoy, which is awesome, out there in Maryland right now, encircling Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about Iowa and its tornado that hit them pretty rough out there. Some folks had passed away. Prayers out to those folks. We're going to look about Google Trends, Germany, Poland, Zelensky, the U.S. economy, and the Chinese card system, to wrap it all into one. So stay tuned, and let's get into this, right? All right, so let me bring up my my first article, which is the U.S. gas prices, okay? All right, so in this article, it says U.S. gas prices hit $4 per gallon for the first time since 2008. 2008, I think is what, who was it? Bush Jr. was in there. I think he was the president at the time. We were going through the whole thing over there overseas and whatnot. But yeah, anyways, gas prices surged to the highest level since 2008 on Sunday, hitting over $4 per gallon on average across the United States, according to the automotive service organization AAA. California led the country with gas prices averaging more than $5.28 per gallon of regular unleaded, according to the data from the AAA. Nevada, Hawaii, Washington State, and Oregon all averaged more than $4.60 a gallon. Man, that's insane. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Alaska, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Maine, Maryland, Delaware, and Massachusetts averaged more than $4 per gallon, the data shows. Missouri appeared to have the lowest gas price in the nation at $3.59 per gallon. Kudos to Missouri. Like I said, here in my area, it's $3.99, so about the average. Analysts noted that $4 an average, not adjusted for inflation. Just FYI, this number is not adjusted for inflation, because if you add that into inflation, man, we're paying a lot of money at the pump. But it's the highest since July 2008. And Andy Lipow, president of Lipow Oil Associates, said the gas prices will likely rise to $4.50 per gallon in the near future. Folks, if you have ways to store gas for long periods of time, or whatever that you can do. Some stable, some gasoline cans. And you know what's funny about that is gasoline cans are going up in cost as well. Even the plastic ones. In Germany, they're having a shortage of gasoline cans. They use more of the metal gasoline cans, but they can't find them. If you're not, you're paying sometimes between $25 to $45 per gasoline can, which is outrageous in itself. Anyways, so that's that article, and I wanted to finish that article up with a secondary article that's touching on this, because this is unprecedented, folks. This will make history in this country. And then when you add inflation, it's just a nasty situation. Anyways, it says the national average, with this other article here, says the national average price of gas is top $4 a gallon. First time in over a decade, as gas continues to soar in the wake of Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. Because that's basically where they're pushing it at. Who's at fault? Why is it at fault? And all that stuff like that. Anyways, it says as Sunday afternoon, the national average of gasoline went up to $4.09. But I've already covered that in the previous article. But here's on the second part of this article is what I wanted to talk about. Patrick Dehan, head of petroleum analysis at fuel savings app GasBuddy, which a lot of people use that app GasBuddy to look for gas or the cheapest gas in their area, said in a tweet Sunday the national average could reach up to $4.10 by Tuesday. The other gentleman said $4.50 here soon, adding to the possibility the record could be broken by the end of this week. So they're predicting on multiple facets. They're predicting that record-breaking gas prices will be hitting us very, very soon, if not no later than Tuesday, in regards to that. So again, like I said, if you have the opportunity to put some gas away, I'm thinking, the roughly 110 gallons that I have, I'm thinking, wow, that's like it's almost gold. I've had that gas stored for almost 8 months. I don't know. It's crazy, and there's proper ways to store gas. And please, if you guys are going to be storing gas or doing anything, don't do anything crazy. Follow the steps in regards to long-term storage for fuel. I think I might have done a video on it. If not, there's videos out there. So please inform yourself, educate yourself before you create a situation that can harm you or your family or others. Anyways. Another thing is that I'm telling everybody to go, a lot of people come across channels like myself and others and be like, oh, these guys are fear-mongering. They're making everybody go out and buy a bunch of gas and creating these shortages and whatnot, or creating the issue. No, we're not creating the issue. The government and other governments and political figures create these issues. You know what I mean? By putting either some sort of stipulations, sanctions, laws, mandates, and all the other stuff that they do is why we are where we are. It's not because we are all of a sudden want to make a run on the gas stations, because most of us have been prepped for quite some time. Most of us have gas stored. I think when I bought my gas, I think it was at like $2.09. So the gas that I have is now valued at twice of what it was when I first purchased it. Quite interesting to say the least, right? Anyways, so yeah, folks, just be aware that this gas situation is going to get a lot worse, and I wouldn't be surprised if it continues from there. I'm not sure what they're going to do. We've already talked about the resolution to this, and the resolution is to bring back the previous presidency or the previous administration's energy policies, and things would resolve itself not immediately, but pretty quickly, and that would make all of us here in the U.S. very happy in regards to having to pay these additional fuel costs, because people are going to have to be making decisions, especially for the folks that drive long distances. Now, also, just to wrap this up real quick, is just don't forget, this is just not you, the average American out there that's dependent on this fuel, that you're going to have to pay more at the pump. So is every other company out there. All the trucks that deliver the food to your store will be paying a higher cost in fuel. Every commodity in this country is by rail, by truck, by car, by whatever it may be to get delivered to you, airplane, however, ships, they all are going to incur a higher cost of fuel, which then will increase the cost of the products that they're going to be delivering, because they're going to raise that increase on the distributors and then onto the retailers. And guess what the retailers are going to do? They're going to raise that cost on us, the citizens of this country. So we are going to be not only paying more at the pump, we're going to be paying across the board for everything. Food, you name it. Food, necessities, medicines, anything you could think of is going to go up in cost. And it's some people are not going to be able to afford this whole situation. I guarantee it. I just talked to a gentleman yesterday. He had to pay his rent, but he couldn't pay his electricity bill, so he's going to have to kind of pause for a minute and live in the dark because he only had so much money on his budget to pay for his situation, which is rent, which is the home. And he said he would just have to deal with living in the dark for a few weeks until he gets enough money scraped together to get his power turned back on. And that's probably not going to be a story by itself, but there's going to be a lot of people going through something similar. Another key point is maybe some folks will, again, start pouring out of our economy and going, basically pouring out of the workforce is what I'm trying to say, basically, and trying to find jobs at work at home where they don't have to drive. But that's still not going to deviate from the cost of goods that they're going to be paying more for. Anyways, so that's what I wanted to touch on in regards to the whole gas and some of my perspectives on that. And like I said, folks, stack it to the rafters. I don't know how many other people can say that. How many people can tell you, folks that come across these channels or channels like my own and others, it's just like, if you're just getting into preparedness now, just keep on stacking, folks. The security of your family is very important. Should be very important to you as it is to me. Anyways, moving past that, I want to jump on, here's the funny thing is, what do you think most Americans are concerned right about now? You hear about all these polls, and if you watch any news channel right now, all you see is Ukraine and Russian war. You're seeing all this news and this media, that's all you see. So I decided to dig a little bit deeper because Google is the beast that it is. So I wanted to know what Google trends are. What are the trends in Google? What are people actually searching for? I've done this in the past to show you what the majority of Americans find that are important to them right now as we see fuel costs go up, as we see inflation out of control, we see the things escalating overseas and all these countries going through all these different issues. What do you think is the most important to the average citizen outside of the preparedness community? Well, let me share that with you. So let me throw that up on the screen. So let's say with the top 10 things that citizens are concerned about in the last 24 hours here in the United States specifically. We got the Brooklyn Nets, Boston Celtics. So we had the Badgers basketball. We have, what is this? Mainly likely to terminate. I don't even know what Napoli, AC Milan. I don't even know what that is. Manchester United. Indiana State Sycamores women's basketball. Michigan Wolverines basketball, Loyola University Chicago basketball, what is that? I don't know, something in Spanish there's odds how to watch the live, something about watching a live stream, and Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Marvel Cinematic, a first look at the new Ant-Man or whatnot. So, yeah, there you go. That's what's on the minds of the majority of Americans. That's what they're searching up in the last 24 hours. That's what's most important to the average American. Fumbling around, with the blinders on, having no clue what's really, truly important. And if the balloon ever goes up or things go sideways, 100% sideways, those are the people that will probably, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, will be caught extremely off guard and be in those FEMA lines, if not worse. You kind of get what I'm saying. I don't really want to say it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, moving on from there, let's, if you're watching this right now, I want you guys to stay tuned to after this. When I end this, the Sunday shift report, I have a minute, it's about a minute and 30-second tribute to, it's not my tribute. I took the video from, I think Forbes put this together. I put the music behind it, but a tribute to the People's Convoy, which is awesome. I want you guys to take a look at that video. That's how I'm going to end this live stream. Here after I go some of these articles, if you guys can hang out to then and watch it, it's truly cool to see, because the news is not covering it, folks. They're so focused on what's going overseas and all that jazz. They're not giving the People's Convoy the actual media attention that it should be getting, because there's a lot of people involved in this situation, and it's good to see us as Americans, pushing back. Anyways, but yeah, I'll play that, and I do have a little article that I'll go over. Matter of fact, we could probably just bring that up now. Let's go ahead and bring that up now and talk about it real quick, and then we'll get into the Iowa situation over there, that tornado that ripped through there, which is very heartbreaking. But anyways, it says truck-led convoy to circle Capitol Beltway twice in protest against the Charlie Victor emergency powers. And it says Hagerstown, Maryland, the People's Convoy, a large caravan of vehicles led by trucks, will be moving slowly around the Beltway twice on Sunday morning in efforts to stop the government's Charlie Victor emergency powers. It says Brian Brace, one of the convoy organizers, confirmed the plan to drive Sunday morning before the group departed Hagerstown Speedway in western Maryland, where it has spent the last 2 nights. The Beltway refers to 64-mile interstate highway that surrounds Washington, D.C., as well as Maryland and Virginia. Virginia and Maryland State Police previously issued traffic notices saying they will be increasing patrol in the region to mitigate potential traffic disruptions. We do not expect any type of law enforcement blockages stopping us, Brace said. Adding that organizers spent many hours working with local law enforcement in Virginia and Maryland on Saturday. The trucker, Brace is a trucker from Ohio, told drivers to proceed in one lane so that they could see how long they actually are. We are doing this so that people in the area can truly see how large we are. We are doing this peacefully with some class. We're not going to shut anything down, he said. The convoy will be traveling slowly, but not below the minimum permitted speed, a convoy organizer confirmed the Epoch Times. After 2 laps, it will return to Hagerstown Speedway and repeat this process in the days to come while increasing the number of laps each day. The reason that they're not going directly into Washington, D.C. is because of threats from the DOJ. Other organizers and other people have stated that it's basically a trap, per se. It's a way to get people in trouble and anything of that nature. So they're still trying to show what they're trying to do, what they are fighting for, what they're protesting against in a different manner outside of basically engulfing and blocking D.C. as a whole or blocking any traffic and whatnot. So there, like I said, there's more to that story in regards to the whole D.C. thing and stuff like that. But hey, I'd rather the folks participating in this, because there's a lot of families involved, women, men, children, and all that stuff like that. Be able to express themselves, and unfortunately, they can't, do just like park in D.C. like they would like to, or some folks have discussed in regards to that. Now, I've heard some people say they still may go in there and whatnot, but it's kind of like an enter your own risk, and it sucks that that's how it is this day and age here in our country. Why can't we, do what we want to do as a protest? Because we've seen other people do it in a very negative way over the last 2 years. Anyway, so that is the People's Convoy, and like I said, stay tuned towards the end of this, and I'll have a little video playing that you guys can actually see of the people and the convoy itself and what's going on over there, just to some nice relaxing music, per se, right? Anyways, now on to something more heartbreaking, which is the tornado breakout in Iowa. Man, watching some of the footage of this, and I'll show some footage as well while I'm discussing this on this article. Let me go ahead and bring it up real quick. It says, the scariest thing I've ever experienced. Iowa tornado kills at least 7, including 2 small children, which is very heartbreaking to say the least. Prayers out to those folks and their families. It says, Des Moines, Iowa stunned residents of the Madison County town of Winterset were reaching out to friends and neighbors Sunday after at least 6 people, including 2 children under 5 years old, folks. Under 5 years old. Were killed when the powerful tornado raced through the central Iowa community. Folks, if you guys are in Iowa and you're in chat right now, and you experience any of this, my heart goes out to you. Truly appreciate you taking the time to be here. If you can be here without, having the power or whatnot to do so, because I'm not sure what boots on the ground are doing right now. You know what I mean? Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, the 7th death was reported in let me see if I say this right, Charenton and Lucas County, but officials reported a few details. Governor Kim Reynolds, who visited Winterset on Sunday, had issued a disaster proclamation for Madison County following a series of confirmed tornadoes in Iowa triggered by a swath of severe weather and slammed much of the Midwest. More than 100,000 homes, folks, more than 100,000 homes and businesses across Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, and Iowa were dark at the peak of the storm. Had no power. Des Moines International Airport halted all flights and protected travelers in tornado shelters under the airport. It says, in and around Winterset, a hamlet of less than 6,000 people on the southwest edge of Des Moines metropolitan area, farms and businesses were ripped apart. More than 24 homes were destroyed within seconds, authorities said. It looked like a bomb went off. Sheriff Jason Barnes said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's bad. Leveled houses, trees, just absolutely unbelievable. So, folks, all you can do is, with tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, any type of storm, severe weather, is hope to be as best prepared as you possibly can. There's certain instances where no matter what you do, things are going to happen. But the more prepared you are, I think the better things would be for you in any situation that comes across your way. Just having that, that thing in the back of your head that lets you know, okay, something bad's happened, but we're prepared for it. Be it if we have some sort of, extra food, ways to heat ourselves, power, let's say generators, solar generators, extra finances, money put away, whatever it may be, just to be a little bit on the more positive side when something like this strikes. All right, where are we at? Where are we at, folks? Trying to look at, do we have oh, okay, so I wanted to just jump into real quick, and I have a little quick thing on the U.S. economy, because we all know it's not looking good, right? So let's throw it up on the screen here. And I just want to notice how they keep on updating this information. It says forecasters see slower growth in the first quarter, which is what we're in right now. January, February, March, everything's broken down into quarters here in the U.S. It says the U.S. economy for the current quarter looks weaker now than it did back in November, according to 36 forecasters surveyed by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. The forecasters predicted real GDP will grow at an annual rate of 1.8% in the first quarter of 2022, down 2.1 percentage points from the prediction of 3.9 in the last survey. So that's almost half. They've almost got their prediction down in half, which is crazy because I think, 1.8, where are we at? Let me do the math real quick. 1.8, 1.3.6, they predict, half, a little over half in the last survey. Using annual average over the average over annual average computation, man, that's a little bit of a tongue twister there. The panel expects the real GDP will grow at an annual rate of 3.7% this year, 2.7% in 2023, and 2.3% in 2024. So it looks like even with their predictions, if it gets better, which I doubt, the annual projections are a little changed from the estimates of 3 months ago. And it looks like from now and through 2024, the GDP is losing its oomph, per se, if it doesn't lose it any faster than that. But I just wanted to share that with you. I don't know how many folks pay attention to our GDP and what it means. We could always do a separate video in regards to GDP and what it means to an economy, be it the U.S. or other economies around the world. All right, so let's, the news has been pumping things out there, right? You've been seeing all kinds of things being pumped out there. And all of a sudden, you'll say the U.S. will flash something on the screen. A lot of our media outlets, matter of fact, even some of the media outlets that I pay attention to. Like over the last 3 or 4 days, I've been watching, like on Fox News, from morning till night, playing back in the store where I'm working at. I have it playing in the background, and I just happen to glance up to see if things progress. Just to kind of keep an eye on things. And I've noticed that they're using the same footage over and over and over again with the same kind of headlines and just different people talking about stuff, right? The same footage over and over again. And every once in a while they'll get something lucky and they'll get something new and they'll post that, and then that'll be the same footage for the next 24 to 48 hours. So here's what I want to show you. That's when anything pops off or you get any type of information, you need to really go further beyond the headlines, okay, folks? Because I'm going to show you a couple of things that as usual, that's room. So I'm going to pull up the Daily Mail real quick. All right, we're kind of going over to overseas now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going overseas now. Thanks for taking the trip with me. Anyways, this is the Daily Mail, right? It says U.S. is working with Poland to supply Ukraine with fighter jets to stem Russian advance and risk of the wrath of Putin as his invasion flounders. Biden speaks to Zelensky promising financial and security support. All right, so that's the Daily Mail, right? Well, that's U.S. media. Well, Poland and Warsaw said, hey, that's fake news. You guys are wrong, because they don't want... Russia made a statement just recently and said, anybody using their airports to facilitate things for the Ukraine, we kind of consider that you're being involved. So some of these other countries are starting to get a little nervous because of the fact of what's going on and the threats of Russia. Not saying that anybody's scared. I'm not saying anything about anybody negative about any other country, so please don't get me wrong. But here in the U.S., we put something on the news, and then all of a sudden you'll find out weeks later or days later that it's not really what it's meant to say. It's just a headline to grab your attention, and then you're okay. Then you move on, right? Well, let me bring this up. So this is from the Chancellery of the Prime Minister of Poland. He says, fake news. Unfortunately, you are spreading misinformation with a quotation from February 27, 2022. Poland won't send its fighter jets to Ukraine, as well as allow to use its airports. We significantly help in many other areas. So Poland is not sending aircraft, and Poland will not be letting people use its airports. Poland is being used for a lot of refugees. I think there might be up to 1.4 million folks that are going over there. but they don't want to get involved any type of in a militarily format. That being said, because of what Russia has stated. And no matter how you look at the country of Russia, I'm no fan of communism, but no matter how you look at some of these countries, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, and the list goes on of communist regimes, some of them are powerful. Some of them have things because they might not think the same way we do. They might not think, oh, if we do this, something bad's going to happen. I mean, look at Putin. He pushed into Ukraine, most likely knowing what was going to transpire. People call him a bumbling idiot or whatever they want to call him. I'm assuming he had an assumption of what was going to transpire once he made his decision. And I'm pretty sure that he had a conversation with Xi Jinping, as well as others that run in that circle of what to expect and what he expected. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just an idiot American that has no clue. Who knows? I'm just saying. Anyways, Poland said, yeah, that's fake news. So I thought that was quite interesting, to say the least, in regards to that. And also, let's jump over to Germany real quick. Yeah, matter of fact, before I jump into Germany, let me pull up that whole thing, because I do have that article real quick. It says Russian Defense Ministry, which you can see on the screen here. It says Russian Defense Ministry warns third countries against warns third countries against receiving Ukrainian combat planes and may draw them into the conflict. Moscow, March 6, in Interfax, the Russian Defense Ministry said that the countries stationing Ukrainian combat aircraft may get involved in the armed conflict. It also says, we know for a fact about Ukrainian combat planes, which earlier flew into Romania and then other neighboring countries. Russia Defense Ministry spokesperson Igor Konechnikov said on Sunday, we would like to point out that the use of the network of airfields of those countries for the stationing of Ukrainian combat aviation and further use against the Russian armed forces could be viewed as the involvement of those countries in the armed conflict, he stated. So that's why Poland made that statement, or at least why I think Poland made that statement. That's my opinion. Now let's go ahead and jump into Germany real quick. And then I'm going to show Zelensky's pissed. The president of Ukraine, Zelensky's a little bit pissed off at NATO, but I'll show that here in a second. Anyways, let's talk about Germany real quick, where they're having some issues. Okay, it says energy shortage could threaten social cohesion. Germany warns against ban on energy imports from Russia. Because if you notice here, you saw Pelosi and you saw some of the other folks, they're all saying we need to just ban oil in general, ban all oil coming from Russia. Well, some of these European countries that are dependent on Russian oil are like, hey, wait on a second. They're bad people, and what they're doing is bad, and we're standing in solidarity with Ukraine. But it's going to put us in a bad situation. Anyways, and I'll tell you how to resolve the situation real quick once I finish this article. Anyways, it says, at a time when U.S. officials are saying virtually every day that the U.S. is in an active discussion to ban Russian oil imports, Germany's economy minister said that while he regrets the country is still dependent on imports from Moscow, he warned against a comprehensive ban on energy imports from Russia. As Destuch Well reports, Germany is currently still dependent on Russian fossil fuels. Economy Minister Robert Habeck said on Thursday he spoke out against a ban on energy imports from Russia in the wake of Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. I would not advocate on an embargo on Russian imports of fossil fuels. I would even oppose it, he said after meeting German business leaders. We need these energy supplies to maintain the price stability and energy security in Germany, Habeck said. Added warning that a shortage in supply could threaten social cohesion in Germany. Basically saying it could throw Germany into a whirlwind of chaos because people won't have fuel. There won't be ways to do things. They won't be able to heat themselves. They won't be able to get to point A to point B, and just a whole bunch of other crap could happen if they stopped accepting fossil fuels from Russia. So just to notice a couple things that you probably don't see in the news. It's not voiced a lot. They have this specific narrative that they want you to see. And I understand it. I get what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's just in any conflict, there's propaganda on both sides. And that's what it is. And we are in this massive propaganda war that's engulfing the United States and every other country around the globe, except some countries are like, hey, can you please stop? Because this is going to affect us, our country, our citizens, and our people, because that's what this is what it amounts to. Be it Russian, be it Ukrainian, be it Polish, be it Germany, be it U.S., sanctions and war and all this other stuff that happens in the world, do you think it affects the political leaders? Do you think Putin is not eating the way he used to eat, or drinking what he's used to drinking, or doing what he's normally doing? But no, the people of Russia, the citizens, most of the citizens that don't want to be involved in any of it, they just want to live their lives, are now, they can't they can't they can't do sports, they can't use credit cards, they can't access their banks, they can't do nothing. And I understand what folks are trying to do, but as within any conflict, the Ukrainian citizens, Russian citizens, American citizens, Polish citizens, and the list goes on, folks. Those are the people that are affected most by what these political parties, these political figures, the oligarchs, the presidents, the prime ministers, chancellors, and whoever these people are, their lives really don't change that much. But we, the people, our lives change dramatically. When you think last time Nancy Pelosi, when is the last time you think Nancy Pelosi pumped her own gas? Chuck Schumer, corn pop. Honestly, folks, when? Do you really think they do that? Do you think Putin pumps his own gas? Do you think some of these major figureheads do that? I mean, look, you see Israel kind of sneaking over to Russia and having discussions with Putin. You got the French Prime Minister having conversations with Putin. A lot of weird stuff going on out there, folks. So stay aware, stay informed, and just stay prepared for anything that might come your way. Speaking of which, let's talk about Zelensky real quick. He's pissed. He's pissed because of NATO. And, I understand where he's coming from. I understand. But it's no matter, I don't think that no matter what he says or what happens to, unfortunately, what might happen to Ukraine, NATO or its allies or America is going to go any further than what they're doing now. Maybe I'm wrong. It could change on a dime. You know what I mean? And if it does, I'll be the first to come on here on the Sunday Shift Report and say, hey, a couple weeks ago, I was wrong. I was surprised. I'm shocked. Look what they did. Anyways, furious Zelensky lashes out at a weak NATO for not imposing a no-fly zone. And you know who else called NATO weak? Who else called NATO weak? That's right. Number 45 did. Number 45 considered NATO to be weak, specifically, especially without the U.S. Anyways, a furious, beleaguered Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky skewered NATO for not doing more to intervene against Russian military invasion of the country on Friday, saying the Western military alliance is weak and confused while continuing to urge a no-fly zone. Unfortunately, today there is a complete impression that it is time to give a funeral repast for something else. Security guarantees and promises determination of alliances, values that seem to be dead for someone, Zelensky said after a NATO summit was held in Brussels, which saw Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg reiterate his position that we are not part of this conflict. And that's what Zelensky is pretty pissed off about. Corn Pop and a lot of other people have said it, and maybe they're going to continue to say it. Now, here's the other flip side of this coin, right? The only thing I can think of is, right, we in NATO, the U.S. and NATO allies keep on saying, no, we're not going to put boots on the ground. We're not getting involved. We're not getting involved until it comes to a certain extent. And I'm just speculating, folks. It comes to a certain part where they'd be like, hey, they get involved. And they say that, well, the reason we're getting involved is because you, the people, asked us to. So now our hands are tied because you, the people, have asked us to get involved. Now, if you look at polls, when this first started, if you look at polls, only 1 in 6 Americans said the U.S. should be involved in anything that's based out in the Ukraine, with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, right? That has now become different. There's folks out there, I think the new poll was, 3 out of 6 or something like that. It's gone up. So there's more people who want boots on the ground, who want to get further involved in this situation. And I'll be honest with you, folks. If that happens, that's guaranteed. That's World War III. No matter how we look at it, if it's a kinetic war, it's bad. No matter how you look at it, once we get involved, it's bad. Because once we're drawn into something like that, I guarantee you that people will come out of the woodwork and will line up with other countries, let's say like Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, And the list goes on. There's others out there, that are going to get involved and get behind one country or another. And the division will be there. It won't be a division amongst people anymore. It'll be a division amongst nations, to say the least. Anyways, one thing I want to touch on another thing before we wrap this up is, have you heard MasterCard, Visa, American Express, and every other credit card agency is putting on these sanctions? They're basically saying they are not going to, work with Russian banks and whatnot like that. So basically, Russian banks have turned on a dime and said, okay, well, we're going to resolve that issue. And guess who they're going to resolve that issue with? The Chinese. Here, I'll explain. Here's the thing. It says Russian banks switch to Chinese card system as Amex joins Visa and MasterCard in suspending Russian operations. Yesterday, when reporting that both Visa and MasterCard has suspended operations in Russia just hours after the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called on the companies to halt all businesses in Russia during the video call with U.S. lawmakers. We said that with this last escalation of Russia's comprehensive expulsion from the Western financial system, expect a surge in usage for China's UnionPay credit card system as millions of former Visa and MasterCard users in Russia look east. We're the West, they're the East, if that makes sense. Anyways, one day later, Reuters has confirmed the development, writing that several Russian banks said on Sunday they would soon start issuing cards using the Chinese UnionPay card operator system coupled with Russia's own Mir network after Visa and MasterCard said they were suspending operations in Russia. State-owned UnionPay is the provider of most card payments in China. Announcement regarding to the switch to UnionPay came on Sunday from Sberbank, if I said that right, Russia's biggest lender, as well as Alpha Bank and Tinkoff Bank. So they've pivoted. The banks in Russia have pivoted to the Chinese banking system, or their card processing system, or however you want to call it, however that works. So do you think Corn Pop, and most of you folks know what I mean by Corn Pop, do you think he's going to reach out to Xi Jinping and be like, hey, you can't do that. Stop that. What are you doing? You're supporting the Russians? And I'm pretty sure we won't see that on the news. And we all know why. No matter how people look at China and its regime, it's a very powerful entity in the amount of things that we deal with. Matter of fact, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure insulin, everybody knows what insulin is. If you're a diabetic, right? Insulin. I think China is the biggest exporter, if not the exporter, of insulin. So imagine if China had said, you know what? Because people say, well, China won't do that. China will not shut off the valve because that's their money. That's their highway to money. Are you 100% sure about that? You sure that China just won't want to shut it off for like a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, just to make the U.S. squirm and other countries squirm that depend on some of the stuff that they export? Because China is one of the largest world exporters. And they just said, they just want to tighten that vice. Because if anybody says negative or pushes any agenda with China, like they're doing with the Russians, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking too far out the box, right? But I think China has a bigger foothold around the globe than people think. And like I said, just think about the digital yen. Think about all the things that have happened. And I mentioned this the other day to some other folks. I said, think about a year or so ago when I came on, I did a video and I said, look at Russia and China are both doing. They're dumping U.S. currency and they're buying precious metals. I call it, that's the real currency, that hard currency, gold, silver, precious metals, and other forms of stuff outside of the U.S. dollar. So was this a year or so ago? Were they planning this? Were they moving the direction of this? Was this something that they're all had discussed? Had they got together and had these discussions and say, let's start doing this. So when we make this chess move, we're okay. I don't know. Something to think about, right? Anyways, like I said, some intriguing stuff. If you got any value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have an opportunity to do so, I would truly appreciate that. You guys are awesome folks. I always appreciate that. Now, don't forget, if you came in late, the last minute and a half is going to be a little video of the Freedom Convoy out there in Maryland, encircling, Washington, D.C. So please stay tuned after that and this to check out that video. It's kind of cool. I was very impressed by it. And I'll throw a little tune behind it just to make it, kind of cool. But that's it. Other than that, this is the end of the Sunday Shift Report. I want to say thank you all for being here and spending the time with me that you did. Mods, thank you for always helping me out. I hope to be in the premiere as well, unless the wife has something other planned. I should be in there, but you never know. If I'm not in there, I always do apologize. But as far as I know, I should be there. Other than that, this is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys on the rebound, and God bless. And please, please, folks, stay safe and stay prepped.